There are so many moments in life when I have a feeling I have to record it, I have to write it down in my diary, or I have to make a video record of it because the absurdity of certain moments in life is overwhelming. But then I don't do it on the spot and it never happens. And sometime later, you don't remember. I don't remember anymore what exactly caused such a stir at certain point in life. But today, I'm ready to record my astonishment with my own government. I returned to Australia after a few years overseas, and I'm trying to blend in and take off where I stopped years ago. And sometimes it's close to impossible. Apparently everything is problem about me. I don't have any credits. I didn't take any loans from the bank. That's a problem. I don't rent my house. It's a problem. I didn't buy my house recently. It is more than 6 months old. It's a problem. I cannot verify myself with a passport or with a driving license. Quite a big number of Australian people do not have passports. They supposed to have driving licenses available when they do some kind of government paperwork. Apparently, the fact that I lived overseas excludes me from the circle of people whose driving license is sufficient. I'm supposed to have my passport with me to prove that I am I. Just the very recent experience. I'm trying to reinstate my Medicare card. I've been overseas for over 5 years. Basically, I am excluded from all government systems except taxes. I still pay taxes, and because I lived overseas, I pay about 2.5 times more than Australians. Now, my taxes include Medicare services as well. I cover Medicare in my taxes. However, since I returned, I'm not eligible to Medicare. I have to prove my existence and the fact that I used to have Medicare. Apparently, the fact that I used to have it is irrelevant, even if I'm supposed to prove that I used to have it. But it doesn't guarantee anything, and I'm supposed to prove myself with my passport, which is not a problem, with my electricity bill, which is not a problem. But electricity bill in itself doesn't count. I'm supposed to prove it with a recent rental contract or a recent purchase. My house was purchased 12 years ago. It's not valid. It's not counted in. My car is not counted in. Insurance opened on my car is not counted in. I have insurance for our body corporate. However, it's not counted in. I'm supposed to have my own insurance, which means I'm supposed to spend about $1,000 in order to be accepted as a claimant for a Medicare card. How absurd it is. I applied a couple of months ago for my Medicare card. I sent some paperwork with it. I sent the documents. I thought they were sufficient. However, the Medicare services claim that they gave me a call, which is not true. All incoming and outgoing calls are recorded in my mobile phone. Nobody called me. I can guarantee it. they sent me an email and they demanded to send some extra information, which I did. But they did not provide the list of things they expect. They assumed that I have it. Well, I didn't. I sent documents according to what I remembered and what I thought would be a sufficient proof. Never ever they contacted me back. Never ever I was informed that my claim was rejected. And when I called Medicare to inquire, they couldn't tell me that it was rejected. How absurd it is. And every time when I talk to representatives of our government offices, I hear a completely different story. And every time when I question them, why did the previous person said this, this, and this? And I can prove it with the records of our conversation. I have lame excuses that, oh, maybe they have different level of clearance, maybe they have different possibilities. I have a different information. How am I supposed to navigate in this nightmare? And Medicare is not the only instance where I feel completely overwhelmed with contradictory, irresponsible, and difficult to obtain information or contacts or forms. Australian Tax Office, same story. Anyway, this is my rant for today. Maybe years ago I went through this and I have forgotten, but something tells me that Australia became much more intolerable, much more intimidating. It used to be quite busy on telephone lines when I wanted to approach some government institutions in the past. But now I'm waiting for 1 hour, 2 hours. And as I'm waiting for my turn, I listen warnings not to be abusive. But after 1 hour of waiting, and after multiple attempts to solve a problem and getting contradictory instructions at all times, how people can be not aggressive, how people can be not frustrated. Do they expect us to be robots, bots? The fact that they introduced artificial intelligence into the systems didn't help at all. In the contrary, it made things impossible to resolve, because now there is no way to reach a real person in some instances. While I was trying to talk to tax office in these last few months, I have discovered that the bots will give you a few suggestions, which phone options, which number to choose, which option to choose. So you choose these options until you get to the end of those options, and then they say, this service is not available anymore, and it cuts off, and you have to start all over again. Or you get to the end of this series of options, and suddenly you get a message. This service is not available to you specifically, and it cuts off. Or this service is not available in your area, and cuts off. Australian government has never been consumer friendly. But right now, I have a feeling that Australian government is consumer impossible. It is consumer intolerant. It expects us not to bother it, and at the same time it expects us to be poor and dependent. Because if I was on a dole, if I had mortgages to the brim, and I was in debt, and I was chained by those debts right and left, then I could prove myself. Then I would be a desirable person. Then the system would embrace me. That's what I've been told a few times in the past few months. How weird it is. How sickening. Yeah. Enough for today.